Hi everyone, this is Elisa Casella. I am the teacher and your support person for Science Tier 1, Session 13. And what I'd like to do is go over a couple of things, hopefully very quickly, that will save you some time as you begin to look around the site. You may already know some of this. Some of this is specific to how these class pages are set up, and a couple of others are hints that you would find in any class in HAIKU. Here is the opening page. I'm signed in as a sample student, and you'll notice there's a bunch of tabs across the top: Pages, Calendar, Connect, and Assess. There's not much here so far. That's because the course is inactive. At the County Office of Education, it will become available at 5 p.m. on July 8th. This screen you can get to, though, because you will need to confirm your email address, and here are the directions for how to do that. A couple of other items. The pages, of course, will be more robust once the class is officially open. The next tab over is Calendar. You'll see that the first items here you can look at in a calendar format in terms of what's due. There's a pre-test due on the 8th. Open on the 8th, due on the 9th. Post-test, if you hover over it, it will show you when it opens. Here are assignments. All of them are due by the 13th at 11:59. And then there's a post-test that's due. It's actually due Sunday at 11:59, but I made it absolutely due the next day at 8 a.m. This will begin to fill up as each of the week's assignments and content opens up to you. There will only be 1 to 2 open at any given time. This is to help you, number one, not be overwhelmed when you see the entire calendar filled up, but second, to help you see exactly what's due at the current time. Connect. You'll see there are announcements, discussions, inbox. Here's announcements, discussions. You will be needing to post to certain discussions. There's one that's actually open now. They're all open. There will be a close date on some of them. The Dropbox is where you go to submit your work, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Inbox is where if I write you a message, you should see on your initial screen that you have a message. You may receive information to your email account depending upon how this is all set up for you. But this is where you can write to me or you'll receive messages from me. You cannot write to each other only because we figure we want you to have privacy from each other. If you determine you want to share information with each other, then you certainly can figure out ways to do that. Under the tab Assess, we don't really have anything under Activities. We have assessments. There will be pre- and post-tests for each session. There are 6 sessions, content groups. Post-tests here are first, pre-tests then come. You will see, though, that each page will give you a link to it. This is a page you can go to. Sometimes people get a little confused, but however, this page is open to you if you would like to go there. Grades. This is where you can look at your grades. They're updated every time I review each assignment. We'll talk a little bit more about what your grades are based upon. Reports, really not much there, and then again, activities, not much there. So that's the initial first screen. I'm now logged in as myself so that I can show you a few more things. This is my portal. This shows me all of the classes I have access to. I work on a different variety of classes through the County Office of Education. Here's what you'll find, though. Here's the calendar. For example, on the 8th, you'll see this pops down, and it tells you right away, here's what's due. So here's one of the first clues you have that information is due. Announcements, any announcements, in addition to popping up directly on your screen, they are sort of archived here, so you'll find announcements. I'm going to go ahead and click on our class. Okay, here we are. When you're able to see it, you'll see there's a welcome, there's a due date checklist, sessions 1 through 6, and this is where you're going to end up focusing. Due date checklist, let's take a look at that very quickly. We have given you the due dates for things in so many places, it actually might be a little confusing. But if you ever need to see at a glance what's due when, in addition to the calendar, which shows you those most immediately, this is the future. This is the entire checklist of when things are due and what's due. Within each session, it's within chronological order. This is the content information here. This is what's due and when. So pre-test is due Wednesday, July 9th. There's an initial board post due by the 13th. These assignments are due by the 13th. Sorry, I didn't mean to click so much there. And now we're back. Let's go quickly to session 1. I want to show you how the general layout will be. This layout is being updated for each session to make it more amenable and accessible for you. There's an introduction that tells you what this session is about. It's based on the guidelines for VPSS Science. This one, there's a first post of introduce yourself. You, of course, won't see that in the subsequent sessions. Pre-test. This is where you can click. There's a pre-test and then there's an answer sheet. It will be the same pattern each and every time that you open a session. Sessions may vary. This one has a session overview for all of the information, content information found here. The slides can be found in PowerPoint, and then you'll see general resources. This pattern, there are A through F parts here. This one's the universe. Here's the content. The assignment is noted, and the resources to support you should you need them, want them, desire them. You'll find the same pattern all the way down there. At the bottom, there's a discussion forum. Here's the prompt for the discussion. You're going to want to click here when you begin to write your initial response to the prompt. Then notice there's a post test. We'll take a look at this really quickly, and here's why. Okay, it's not up yet. Okay, up in the upper left-hand corner, it said discussion forum, and I clicked on more. I'm going to move this for you just a little bit. Here's the prompt again so that you can see the prompt as you begin to write a post. You click on new post, and you'll be able. Okay, here we are at the discussion page. Notice discussion forum 1, it says more up here. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to give me the prompt again. Sometimes, believe it or not, I know it sounds crazy, by the time you get here, you're like, what exactly was that prompt? You don't need to try to go back and forth. Here it is right here, and you can then post. So you're creating a new post. I've left that discussion page. Down here you see post test 1. There's an explanation here at the pre-tests and post-tests. You must complete this post-test, also the pre-tests, in order to complete this course. However, your actual score will not be recorded to affect your grade. Please use this as a way to consider how much you have learned since you completed the pre-test for this session. So yes, you must complete those. However, whether you get a 75 or an 85 or a 95 will provide you with information, but it doesn't alter your grade. There's a 1 submitted for completion if you've participated in the pre-test and post-test. The score will show up on your grade book, but there's no weight to it other than the fact that you have completed it. So it's a completion only. On the right-hand side, submissions required for session 1. Once again, pre-test, original discussion prompt, assignments, all due 7/13, post-test, 2 discussion responses for colleagues' posts and when it's due. So once again, here's what's due and when it's due. For example, here's a discussion rubric, what you need to have within your discussion response. Assignment rubric, how your assignments will be reviewed. It's not reviewed to ensure that every single answer is correct. However, 75% or more must be correct. And you can see it right here, response for every question or prompt. One of the things that we like to remind you, it's also on your memorandum of understanding that you signed, is that remember this is an adult course. So we're looking at college level responses. Does that mean that you have to write a page? Absolutely not. But it means complete sentences, clear. Remember somebody else is reading it, trying to understand what you're trying to say. Sounds familiar, right? Sounds exactly like what we tell our students. We're not our students, but it says that we're trying to ensure that someone else understands what we're writing. Over here, you can click on these, expanding universe, and up will come that particular assignment. I'm going to go back to the calendar for one last piece. You'll find some of this information on the welcome screen in terms of what the grades represent. An R represents resubmit, and that means obviously some questions on an assignment are more critical than others. Let's say the data doesn't come out exactly right, but it's close. That's fine. That happens in science. If the analysis questions aren't really quite on target, though, then we need to ask you to revisit it, and we'll try to give you either hints or resources. We are not here to make your life miserable, but because you are teaching this to students, we want to make sure, number one, if you're going to use that same assignment with your students or a similar one, that you know what the correct answers would be. And second of all, that you have a good understanding so that you can stand with confidence in front of your class and provide assignments and information that you feel is really on target and credible. Notice this pattern. You're going to find that everything of these assignments is due by Sunday at 11:59. Of course, that doesn't mean you have to wait to do them then. It might behoove you not to wait till the weekend, but really it's your life and your decision. Remember, though, that as you submit it, I will be reviewing throughout the week. So if you submit something on the 10th, it may well get reviewed before the 13th, and that's great. Once I review your information and you have an R, you have 2 weeks, generally speaking, to go back and review and resubmit. Why I say generally, if you get to within a week of the end of the course, then things go much more quickly. You may want to set aside a day, say Wednesday, that you go back and check what are these R's. All of this, I think, will become really clear to you. Those individuals that have been a little bit nervous about the class and communication, that has usually dissipated within the first week once they've gone through submissions and everything once, and it's like, okay, I've got it. So welcome to the class. I'm sorry to give you so much information, but I have found that over time, if people know this, that it makes their life just a little bit easier. Thank you so much. You will find I will be publishing YouTube videos to support you in different assignments. If you go to do an assignment and you run into trouble, you may want to view that YouTube video that I have connected to that assignment, because sometimes directions are a little tricky, or exactly what you click on for the simulation is supposed to be very clear, and yet it's not in writing, and we need those visuals. So welcome, and I look forward to communicating with you over the next few weeks. Thank you.